Good morning again. Dan Alasso with History for Today. And this morning I want to share a little bit of a behind-the-scenes view of what I did after writing my notes from the first chapter of Chomsky and Waterstone's Consequences of Capitalism, which I talked about yesterday. So after I wrote those notes and after I made that video, I went through the endnotes of the Kindle version of the book that I had read, after I listened to the Audible version of the book during my walks. I followed the links to online articles and took a look at them and decided which ones I wanted to keep and read. I made a folder in Zotero where I stored the PDFs and the web links and the citation information of those articles and also of books that I had ordered via interlibrary loan. There were also a few books actually in my university library that they already had. So I made a note of those so that I could go and pick them up when I go in, which at this point is only several times during the week since we're between semesters. There were several really promising books cited in the notes. And that's one of the things that I appreciate, as I said, about this text that came out of this course, is that the authors, Chomsky and Waterstone, have been citing their sources and have not just been saying things and trying to use their authority as experts to make their points. And maybe the main one of these books was one called Gramsci's Common Sense by Kate Crean. And this was especially attractive to me because it was very recent and because I've been hesitating to begin reading the prison notebooks right now because I have a lot to do and there's thousands of pages of them. But I do think I will appreciate an explanation that covers what a significant Gramsci scholar considers the important highlights around the topics of cultural hegemony and common sense. There were some good quotes from Crean in this chapter that I read, and I think that I will be able to find some more gems in that book. There were some other provocative statements in the text that also caught my eye that referred to the writing of Paul Barros and Zygmunt Bauman. So I requested their books too through interlibrary loan. I also began a research rabbit collection, which allowed me to scroll through the later works that cite some of these books and articles. I didn't want to get too far over my skis, so I didn't actually add a lot of these to the collection yet. As I read and as I make notes on the articles and books that I've already queued up, I will add some of these additional sources to the collection, and then it will be interesting to see what the app suggests based on that. I have a Zoom meeting actually scheduled for tomorrow with some of the Research Rabbit folks, so I'll probably be able to say more if I learn a little bit more about how it works. So stay tuned for that. Another thing that I like to do once I've read a bit and written a bit is to go back through the note that I've made and to add content to the links that I made along the way, and maybe even to add some more links. As I've mentioned, I think of my Obsidian Vault as sort of a permanent work in progress. And I think that returning to these notes is a good way to continue pushing forward on these topics. So I added some content to some of the names and the terms that I had double bracketed while I was writing my notes on the Chomsky-Waterstone chapter. This is an ongoing process, and in several cases, the notes that I made on these terms led me to double bracket new terms and ideas, and that kind of causes a cascade of linked notes. Some of these will circle back around to the original over time. Others actually don't. Over time, of course, the connections will become denser and more meaningful and interesting to me, I think. I should mention that I typically view my graph with the existing files only toggle turned off. That means that around many of my nodes, I can see a cluster of little purple empty nodes. These are ideas or names or terms that I think are relevant and interesting, but I haven't taken the time to fill in yet. Over time, I will come back to these and add content and add links. For a while, actually, I had these turned off because I felt like I was kind of cheating and padding my graph if I included them. But then I decided that they're useful to me. They provide information. A cluster of purple around a topic is a reminder to me that there are a lot of interesting ideas there, even if I haven't explored and reported on them all yet. On the other hand, if a topic's satellites remain purple forever, then that may suggest that maybe it wasn't really as interesting to me as I had originally thought. Or at least that it wasn't on enough of a front burner that I was motivated to go back and fill them in at this point. To switch metaphors now, I think that managing this vault is very much like gardening. There's a lot of pruning, there's a lot of weeding, and occasionally, sometimes there's replanting that I need to do if the seeds that I've planted don't come up. So this wasn't meant to be a conclusive how-to video, but rather a look at what I did in the course of working on this topic. So a little bit of behind the scenes. I'll do more of these behind the scenes videos from time to time, in addition to the more formal step-by-step ways that I lay this out for my students, for example. And as I said, I'll be talking to the research rabbit people tomorrow, so hopefully I will have some interesting takeaways from that to report. In the meantime, thanks very much for listening. I appreciate it, and I will see you again